A 16-year-old built a game in 3 days that beat Fortnite. Not a game with a giant studio behind it, not years of development and millions of dollars. 3 days. And within months, more people were playing it at the same time than any game Epic ever made. Everyone knows the name by now. Grow a Garden. But almost nobody understands the actual reason it worked. And by the end of this video, you will. Because the secret behind the biggest game in Roblox history is the opposite of what makes a game fun. And it gets stranger the closer you look. Let us start with what actually happened, because the numbers alone sound made up. Grow a Garden launched on Roblox on March 26, 2025. It was created by an anonymous developer using the name BMW Lux, reportedly just 16 years old. The first version took about 3 days to build. 3 days, and then something happened that nobody planned for. It became the fastest game in Roblox history to reach 1 billion visits. It did it in 33 days. For comparison, most games never reach 1 billion visits at all. This one did it in about a month. But that was just the warm-up, because the real explosion was still coming. Through May of 2025, the game kept climbing with each update, around 5 million people playing at once, then almost 12 million. And then on June 14th, 2025, Grow a Garden crossed 16 million concurrent players. That number matters because it passed the old record held by Fortnite, which had peaked around 15.3 million. A game built by a teenager in 3 days had just beaten one of the biggest titles on the planet. And it did not stop there. By late June, it reached 21.3 million players at the same time. Now stop and really think about that, because this is where it gets strange. Fortnite is made by hundreds of professionals with a budget most countries would envy. Grow a Garden is a game where you plant a seed and then wait for it to grow. That is the core loop. You plant, you wait, you come back later. There are no guns, no building, no intense skill. So how does a game about waiting for plants beat a game about winning firefights? That question is the entire mystery. And the answer is the secret I promised you. But before we get there, we have to look at how deep this actually went. Because it stopped being just a game. By May of 2026, Grow a Garden had racked up over 35 billion visits. Not million. Billion. It gathered almost 11 million favorites. And then came the part that pushed it from viral hit into genuine cultural event. In November of 2025, a company called Story Kitchen announced they were developing a real film adaptation of Grow a Garden. A movie, based on a Roblox game about gardening, made by a 16-year-old in 3 days. If you had described that sentence to anyone a year earlier, they would have laughed at you. So how? What is the actual secret? Why did this specific game out of the millions on Roblox become the biggest of them all? Here it is, and it really is the opposite of normal game design. Most games are built to keep you playing. Grow a Garden was built to be okay with you leaving. That is the whole trick. When you plant crops in Grow a Garden, they grow in real time. Real minutes. Real hours. Even when you close the game. So the game does not punish you for logging off. It rewards you for coming back. You are not grinding for hours in one sitting. You plant, you leave, you live your life, and when you return, something is waiting for you. Your garden grew while you were at school. It grew while you were asleep. That feeling, the feeling of coming back to something that quietly changed without you, is one of the most powerful hooks in all of psychology. It is the same reason people check on plants, pets, and messages. Anticipation is stronger than action, and that unlocks the second half of the secret. Accessibility. Because the game asks so little of you moment to moment, almost anyone can play it. It runs on weak phones. It does not need fast reflexes. A young kid and their grandparent can both understand it in 10 seconds. Fortnite demands skill. Grow a Garden demands patience. And it turns out patience has a far, far bigger audience. Then the developers added the final ingredient: limited time events, special weather, rare seeds that only appear during certain updates, like a blood moon or a swarm of bees. Suddenly, the calm gardening game had urgency baked into it. You did not want to log in and play for hours. You wanted to log in constantly so you would not miss the rare thing. A game about patience had quietly become a game about fear of missing out. And that combination, low effort plus constant reasons to check back, is basically a perfect engine for enormous player counts. So look at what actually built the biggest game in Roblox history. Not graphics, not a budget, not difficulty. It was a loop simple enough for a child, that respected your time by letting you leave, that grew while you were gone, and that gave you just enough fear of missing out to keep you checking in forever. A 16-year-old did not outcode Epic Games. He understood something about human attention that the giant studios kept ignoring. You do not have to trap people inside your game. You just have to give them a reason to come back to it. That is why a game about waiting beat a game about winning. And here is the part that should stick with you. The next time you assume the biggest games win because they have the most money, the best graphics, or the most action, remember a quiet little garden built by a teenager in 3 days. It did not beat Fortnite by being more intense. It beat Fortnite by being something you could walk away from and still could not stop thinking about. A 16-year-old built a game in 3 days that beat Fortnite. And now you know it was never really about the game at all. It was about understanding you.